Welcome to the Bell Tech Talk segment of the Vertical MRO podcast. This segment takes you into the nuts and bolts of helicopter maintenance. It's about safety, support, and operational readiness. Top priorities for the Bell team. Join us for technical insights and personal stories from the front lines of helicopter maintenance from the industry-leading experts at Bell. Hey, what up, everybody? Back to the basics here with Bell Tech Talk. Still no TikToks unless there's dancing. It's not seen on camera. Back at her. After a little kind of hiatus there, I was kind of on a bit of a trip there, about 10,000 miles away, but now we're kind of back into the swing of things, just prepping things up. And today is an awesome tech talk regarding Bell Tech Pubs. And for those of you who don't know, we're going to be introducing a new guest to the show, but our one of our old common hats here is Mr. Greg Judd. Welcome to Tech Talk again, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having us. This will be a good one.
Yep. This will be a good one. And we have a gentleman here with the absolute toughest name in baseball for sure. I love the name, Skip McLean, Lifecycle Support Manager. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Good morning. Glad to be here.
How's the right side of terra firma today for you boys?
Hey, it's good. Good.
Where do we find ourselves today?
I'm in Fort Worth. Beautiful weather down here this morning. Yeah, we're experiencing a wonderful winter down here, so it's good to go.
A wonderful winter in Dallas. Okay.
I am in Boise, Idaho. So living the dream. Yeah.
So lift with your legs, not with your back, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I spent an hour 20 outside today. It's okay. Snowed a little bit last night. Wake up this morning, the drift is right knee high at my driveway, and I'm just like, oh boy.
Oh, good times.
This is gonna suck. Yeah. So honey, I didn't go to the gym. I kind of had my gym, but we're good. Again, welcome to the show, Skip. We're going to be we're going to have you lean in a little bit to kind of just give us some credentials, and we'll get right into the topic of it all. Please introduce yourself and how long you've been with Bell.
Okay. Well, like you said, I'm the Lifecycle Support Manager. This April, I will have been here officially for 20 years. So
Oof.
I know that's hard to believe because I only look like I'm 25 or 26 years old, but
there's a compliment right there, brother. Yeah, out of you.
Really, I've been here 20 years. So,
yeah. Did you start when you were like 10?
Yes. Yeah. 8, actually. So,
okay.
I was well
really
done.
Sorry,
young.
go ahead. Yeah, my bad. Yep.
Yeah. So my team builds what we're going to talk about today. We build the tech pubs and we maintain the tech pubs for our fleet of operators out there around the world. And so one thing I want to point out while we're talking about that is that we have over 17,000 active subscribers to our tech pubs. So
damn,
we're a helicopter company.
Yeah.
But we are a tech pubs company. Our biggest front-facing product is our technical publications, and we take that seriously. So we've got a big team around the world that updates our tech pubs, and like I said, we take it very seriously.
And you know what? You're kind of at the forefront of what people are now staring at every single day, right? Like it's no longer the catalog of here, let me flip through the pages and kind of get it done that way and see if we can find out that way. You guys are at the forefront of what today's buyers, maintainers, and people that are purchasing procurement have to kind of deal with. So good on you for kind of keeping that up.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And those who don't know Mr. Greg Judd, he's been on our show a couple of times. He's an old hat on here, but give a quick rundown again, brother, in case people are just turning on. So sell yourself on the people that are turning on right now, Greg.
Not much to say, but not much to sell here. Happy to be here. And I manage the customer service engineers for the Americas. So I'm lucky to have a great team of folks that I work with that, we're the first line tech support for our customers. So
well done.
Well done. Good team.
So let's get right into it, guys. Here, like I'm reading this here, the S1000 Delta IETM versus the PDF. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Okay. So S1000, we call S1000D real simple. We don't go so far as to say Delta. We keep it simple. So sure. S1000D is the industry format for an IETM. Let me back up. An IETM is an interactive electronic technical manual. And what that really means is, like it says, it's interactive. Operators, maintainers can log onto our website, and we provide links within that interactive manual so they can jump between, for example, a wiring diagram to a troubleshooting manual. And within the wiring diagram, we can even go so far as to highlight those lines. As an old avionics tech, that's a big deal for me to be able to see that line highlighted. It might seem simple, but that is a pretty important thing when you've got a big wiring diagram you're looking at. So PDF is just a PDF like it sounds. A few years ago, we made a change to update our production models to all IETM. So we did that for a few reasons. The main reason was that allows us to get changes out quickly to our fleet of operators. With a PDF manual, it takes several days just to compile a PDF manual because they're hundreds and hundreds of pages long sometimes. So that takes a while to upload. It takes a while to compile the manual and get it out to our operators. With an item, they're broken down into what we call data modules. And those data modules can be uploaded individually. So we can make a change quickly, get that pushed out to our customer and to our operators and maintainers, and we have the most up-to-date information out to the fleet as quickly as possible.
On the ready.
Yep.
Yeah. So the beauty of the PDF is if you're working remote, you can print them. You can download the PDF format and you have them offline. So there you have options for both, which is really nice.
It was going to be one of the questions, is in case, because as we know, a lot of our technicians, AMEs, MPs are out there. Even DOM sometimes if they're in the middle of a remote scenario here, if they downloaded the PDF, you don't need the internet connectivity that you possibly would kind of get away with if you're on the lower mainland someplace or kind of by a hub there. So that's good to know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Greg. So we were able to also, not just those old PDF formats for what we call our legacy models, but the production models that we have converted to the item. We do have a PDF of that available as well that you can download, but we've also got something we call our offline viewer. And anybody that has access to the tech pubs can download our offline viewer, and within that, they can download all of those libraries that they have access to. And that not only gives them access to the PDF, but also to the interactive manual. So they don't lose those interactive features when they are remote without an internet connection. So we just made some changes, and we've made that system better as well. So
Gotcha.
We've got a couple of ways for them to get around that lack of connectivity. We've thought about that with a lot of our, especially helicopter operators that are way up in the forests of Canada or way out on the islands near Papua New Guinea. They may not have internet connection. So we think about these guys. We do.
As ironically, you mentioned Papua New Guinea. I was there. I was just there.
They've still got your head. That's great.
Came back. All appendages in check. Everything's still there. My wallet's still thicker. I didn't get held for ransom. Mind you, one guy comes up and he goes, "You'd make a great warrior." I'm like, "Don't touch me, man." But interesting place. But yeah, you're right. And because there are still a bunch of Bell operators in a remote place like PNG, man, you got to be up to date on the latest and greatest there. And if you're able to kind of either download it via the PDF, or if you do have internet connectivity, which there's some much more advanced technology on that side of the world that we don't have here, which is weird, but
surprising.
Yeah. It's very surprising to say the least. Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh no, I was just saying, wanted to say that, we have the Canadian Coast Guard, they live on icebreakers, right?
Yeah.
With some of their aircraft, and that was one of the issues they had. They have connectivity sometimes, but you need to make sure the customers can get access to the technical data whenever they need it. And so through the process of this, when we converted to this, we've constantly upgraded. Skip's teams constantly upgraded the format and how the system worked. And we'll continue to do that, right, Skip? I mean, we're always trying to improve what we've got for product for the customer. Yeah,
that's right. We take a lot of calls from customers. I visit customer sites often, and they tell me things that they would like to see. Some of the things that it might seem really simple, but for example, we recently put in blue change bars. So when we make a change to the manual, to highlight that change, it's in a light blue color, but it's visible. It's very visible to these guys. It used to be in kind of a light gray color, and guys were showing me, "Hey, I can't see it."
Yeah,
depending how they have the brightness on their monitor, they may not be able to see that change. But with this blue change, it really brings that out for them. So those kind of minor changes we're able to deploy really quickly out to our operators and maintainers. And again, it might seem like a minor thing, but it has a big impact, and we're able to get that out there to those guys. So,
well, you kind of led me into the next question here. Is kind of there's recent some changes to be made. If you guys want to talk a little bit about that, please feel free to do so. Yeah,
Val. So that was one of them. Those blue change bars had a big impact. We've gotten feedback from these guys out around the world saying, "Hey, thanks for doing that. We can see it now." We got a bunch of old guys out there working on helicopters too. They may not be able to see. So
Greg's not one of them. He's a young buck.
Greg is not one of them. Greg is not the guy. So.
As he puts on his bifocals. Greg, you just blew it out the window, Sorry, Skip. Go ahead, brother.
So We've also added what we're calling a highlights data module. To the beginning of each chapter, we list those changes in a little more detail. So you can open up, say, chapter 12, your servicing manual, and you can look in there and see that we have, for example, made a change to the quantity of oil that you're having to service your aircraft with, for example. And you know that that's what the change is. So it tells you, hey, maybe you ought to go take a look at this before you do maintenance next time. So you're just aware of what you need to have on hand. So
avoid the redundancy of kind of just always repeating yourself, checking into the manual. If you see something highlighted, you go right to it if it needs to be changed. Oh, nice call. Good work.
Yeah, that's right. Another thing we did was more in the back. I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to add to that. In the past with the paper manual, you get a revision, a stack of revisions. You'd have to review through that. A little bit tedious, but this way you can, like he says, you open up the chapter, it's all right there. And it's so much easier and flows much better. So
some of those old manuals, man, it looked like you're reading the Noah's Ark Bible. There was huge stack, at least 12 inches thick sometimes. And you got to try through them
all the little notes written in them and everything, all the
yeah. Greasy fingerprints in there, so you know exactly who worked on it.
That's exactly it. What do you?
So those are a couple of the changes we've made recently. But while we're talking about changes and going out to our operators, Val, I want to mention that when we're not perfect, so we're going to have errors, we're going to have spelling mistakes, we're going to have things that don't appear properly, and so I want to point out that when a customer, an operator, or maintainer is looking at our pubs, if they find an error, they can call us 1-800-FLY-BELL. Option 6 will get you directly to Tech Pubs. You can send an email to publications@bellflight.com. That'll also come directly to my team. I've got several people that monitor what we're using now is Salesforce. So when you send an email to that, it creates a case in Salesforce.
Yeah.
That case goes out to my team and it's monitored. They evaluate it, dispatch it, schedule it for the next revision. But that case is monitored cradle to grave. So once a customer tells us, hey man, you guys screwed up, we validate that 99% of the time we're right. We screwed up, and we'll track that all the way through until that is incorporated back in the manual and released out, and then that case is closed. So we never lose sight of that all the way through.
Good of you for saying that, because like you said, the human factor still comes into play when we're kind of putting these together. So there will be slip-ups, there'll be typos, there'll be things that are misspelt incorrectly, or could be also being left up to interpretation. So I'm glad you kind of opened that line to the operators to say, hey, I'm interpreting it this way. Can you define it a little more? And if you guys were able to make the changes, good on you for doing so.
Yeah. And those guys that are working on the aircraft are the experts. They know what they need to see in the publications. We'll tell them, we build them. This is the engineering drawings, but sometimes engineering drawings don't translate well into real life tasks. So we like that feedback, and that is one of the biggest things we rely on to make changes to our manual is that feedback we get from our customers.
Spectacular.
Yeah, and to that point, to Skip's point, and I've been as guilty as everybody, I'll mention, hey Skip, there's an issue with the manual, and he'll say, hey, give me the details. So be precise with your feedback. Don't just say, hey, this section is not right. Come back with some good, solid, hey, it would be better if it was worded like this, or hey, it's missing this part. That helps Skip and his team. And
a direct
keep
approach.
In mind, keep in mind, he's got one feeling, you're never going to get to it. So you can just,
Skip, how many team members do you have on your team?
I've got a pretty good sized team. I've got a few guys here in Fort Worth. I've got a half a dozen or so people up in Canada. I've got a few people in Mexico, and I've got a pretty large team in India. So
wow,
we cover everything. Yep.
So you're 24/7 worldwide support.
Yeah, we are.
Well done.
We are.
Well done. Just so in case it kind of flew over again, the number is 1-800-FLY-BELL, option 6.
You got it. That's it.
And the emails are publications, plural, at bellflight.com. Did I get that right?
You got it, Val. That's
all
it.
Right. Awesome. Looking at that, well, like the blue change bars, highlights, data modules, that kind of stuff over the PDF is all great. That's got to be some type of I'm going to ask the software question here. When you develop these, what are you using for software on this, and is it compatible with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what we use to develop these, and this is a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and it may be interesting to these guys that are actually using our manual. It may not be, but so we use something we call the Arbortext editor to develop the XML, the interactive manual. So that allows for some XML tagging. It makes it easy for us to quickly make a change. So if you're working in Word and you want to format something in Word, it's pretty tedious, right? You have to go through and select each section and format it and convert it to PDF and then put it out there wherever you want it to go. With Arbor Text Editor, we've got a predefined set of what we call tags, and we apply that tag and it formats the entire thing. So once it goes out, that really ensures that the presentation of our manuals.
So it breaks up the whole jargon of it reformatting like it normally would on everybody else's normal computer?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I'm in.
Exactly. But you don't see it. It's just happening in the background. So
yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we've got some continuity among all our manuals. When we put something out, the format stays the format. And that's important with the authorities too. One of the requirements we have is that the format that they approve for our ICAs, instructions for continued airworthiness, the format that they approve is the format that we present to our operators, and they hold us to that. So with this type of software, Arbor Text Editor, we're able to do that easily, quickly. It's sort of, we don't even think about it anymore. It just
how
goes
you
out.
present it is how they see it, is how they approve it, and then how they can be read by the operators.
You got it.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
it. Now we still have some old PDF manuals.
Yeah.
The old, what we call our legacy fleet. I really like that word, legacy. Like
it's awesome. It's an awesome word. We fit right into it.
I dig it. So legacy. So we use something called FrameMaker for that. And that's really just a beefed up version of Microsoft Word, if you will. So it really makes the formatting a little easier. We're able to apply format across hundreds and hundreds of pages at once instead of a few pages or paragraphs here and there. So that's what we use for out of production.
Can I ask a bit of a CompuNerd question here then? Are they compressed files? Are they a zip file if someone wanted to download it, or is it going to be like a megaton of kind of data that they're going to have to kind of absorb?
No, Val, you get the megaton of data when you download PDF, man.
Yeah.
And that's why. So we have made some other changes to the coding in the background recently, and so that allows for a faster download. That's the offline viewer that we were talking about earlier.
That was going to be my next question. Thanks for that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
yeah.
So that is important. Obviously, again, we're Papua New Guinea. I don't think they have lightning fast speeds, although you said they have some pretty cool technology over there.
Mm-hmm.
They might have faster speeds than I have here in Fort Worth. Anyway, we do get people calling us and saying, hey, man, it's taken me, I started downloading this thing in 2019 and it's still not done. Can you do something about it? So we've done something about it. So we've recently recoded our entire system. We're using what's called an Azure-based environment now.
Okay.
Techno jargon, and it doesn't really mean anything. It speeds things up. That's what it does. It allows us to publish faster. Before that was an hours and hours long process. Now we are literally minutes for the same type of manual. So we can, even those old PDFs, they go out faster, much faster than they used to.
You open up the can. Please tell us a little more about Azure.
Yeah, so I was hoping you wouldn't ask me for details. I know this. So I'm the lifecycle support manager.
It's the hard-hitting questions here on VMRO.
Not the IT manager. So.
Not the IT.
So I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth here. It's a Microsoft system.
Let's we'll simplify. We'll dumb it down for us that are
okay.
Let's layman's terms go.
It's Microsoft and it's an Azure-based environment. It's just a coding-based. It's a new coding style that we use that allows us to do things much faster here, and it eases and simplifies the code that we use for our systems. So we had a lot of homegrown systems that we built with coders that we had employed here at Bell. So they would write an application or write the code for an application that would publish and upload those documents to our website. And it's really hokey and gets in, over the years, people add a little and remove a little and it becomes a mess and takes forever. We don't have to do that anymore because now we've got a big company up there in Seattle that says, look at this, man. We've got a system for you that's going to make your life easy. So we did it, and it's working out great so far.
So you've eliminated the Wikipedia format of the page,
exactly.
Where anybody can enter. Like if you look up who Val Medved is, supposedly I'm a Roman prince or something like that. I'm like, what? No, that's not who I am.
Well, I'm honored to be talking to you today.
Absolutely.
Kiss the
Had
ring,
no
boys.
idea we
Kiss the ring. Oh, that's good. Go ahead, Greg. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple of things here. When Skip started in the pubs, he really got handed some antiquated systems and everything. And over the years, he's done an amazing job getting this to where it is today. And folks get frustrated with, our pubs sometimes and all that, but keep in mind, there's a huge amount of data there that has to be maintained. So if you see something, let us know. Don't get upset. Just let us know,
The other part about it too is we become so convenient. I'm sorry to cut you off here. We've become so used to instant information.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We're so used to instant information via our phones, via our laptops, via our tablets, that if we don't have it within a minute, we're freaking out.
Shazam.
And I'm like, it just, if it takes a little more than that, err on the side of patience. It's going to come through. And if it doesn't, that's where Skip gets the call to the team, saying, hey, why is this taking forever? Because I've been downloading it since 2019.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine this task when it was kind of, and we really, if you think about, we've spoken about this on a few other of our shows, how fast our technology, especially over the last 20 years, has accelerated.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you walking into that, you're like, I'm at the bottom of Mount Everest with skates on, and it's an uphill ice climb. So I can't imagine.
So we've made it to base camp. We're still not quite there. We're looking at it, but we're making some progress. Yeah.
You got some, and I tip my hat to you for whoever cuts and styles your hair, and there's no grays yet. Good on you.
Hey, I do that myself. That's not bad.
It looks good, bro. So you've simplified the process to a degree that's always going to kind of probably need constant supervision, constant upgrading, constant blah, 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 blah. So how would you even kind of go about planning for that? Is there like a quarterly sit down that you sit down with your entire team and say, what are we finding here? What are we finding there? Or what's the process? Go ahead.
So Val, it's weekly. We sit down weekly.
Oh, good on you.
We've got an army of people that are working IT. We've got some IT specialists, and we've got some people that we are training to supplement those IT specialists here at Bell. And that is their sole focus, is to maintain this, because like I said earlier, over 17,000 subscribers, it's important that this system stays up and run smoothly. So we've got a large team of people that are constantly looking at that. 90% of the emails I get every day are IT related to something going on with Tech Pub. So yes, we keep an eye on it, and it's nonstop. Yeah.
And to the point here, when I started with Bell a little over 10 years ago, we'd get a lot of calls about the pubs. Hey, I don't really understand this, or I can't find this, or whatever. Those calls have diminished drastically over the last few years because of the improvements made to our pubs, so like it's fun to see this, and it's good to see our customers being able to use the pubs the way they were meant to be set up. So
especially this generation, and I say this with all due respect, it's this generation of people that are involved in procurement, maintenance, and purchasing. They're in front of all of this at all the times. Our generation was taught different. So it's like good, when you're talking to like that, I guess that's another part of the question I want to ask here is, when you're looking at developing and updating that, are you getting a lot of feedback there from the existing customers that are newer, or are you getting any of the legacy type of guys that are asking the same questions?
So I get both. And
okay.
Yeah, I get both. Those older guys. So when we first made the switch, Val, we went S1000D for those. 412 is a pretty well-established model we've got out there. It's been out for many years, and we all of a sudden pulled the rug out of that PDF. So I had a lot of angry phone calls at midnight from guys saying, hey, where's my big book? I need my big book to carry around. So we went around the world, literally. We visited customers. We were in Australia, and we were showing these old guys how to use our new item. But while I was there were some younger mechanics and technicians that were also there working at that same company. And they said, hey, man, we love it. We think it's great.
Yeah.
We've got a big TV out here in the shop. We roll it up. We're up on top of the helicopter. I can see the things down there. The old guys still want their PDF, but they're coming around. They're starting to warm up to the idea. So instead of having that big TV, and I understand, that's a hindrance. A lot of places don't have that. But one thing everybody does have is a phone. So over the past few years, we've worked diligently to develop an iOS application.
Yep.
So we're on the cusp of releasing that. We've got some issues. One of those was this development to Azure, this switch over to the Azure environment, which we've just completed. That is going to allow us to finish up that iOS application, download it on your phone from the App Store. That should be out Q3 of this year. Q2, Q3 of this year, we'll have that out to operators all over the world, free to use. You just go in, you log into your tech pubs, and you've got an offline viewer / online viewer on your phone at all times. So you download it, you've got it, it's right there on your phone. Everybody's got a phone, so.
Look for it in Q2,
Fantastic.
Q3 of this year.
Yep.
Got it.
We'll have it out there.
You're bang on. And sorry, Greg, I'll let you get in here, but what I was saying is you're absolutely right. You're spot on, because everybody's got this, supercomputer in their pockets. And if they're able to kind of put that onto there instead of, like you said, looking at the screen, which I did see a bunch of places there when I was traveling through Australia. I love to see the fact, my wife's in education, and she always taught me that the visual learning is the best learning. So when I'm going around to these shops and you see some of these, highly successful shops that are repairing all types of helicopters, they have the video screen up there, tells them their workload, tells them when to expect it, and tells them kind of where it's at. And then if they need to, they pull, like you say, the drawings and schematics up on it, which is impressive as hell. So yeah, good on you.
Another point to make here is when you're, I saw this at one of our big operators in Latin America. These gentlemen would go out to the flight line and they'd be working on the aircraft off tablets, and they'd build their parts list and all that right there out of their tablet, wherever they needed. And you don't think about that much, right? But it used to be I'd get my notebook out, I need this, so I have to go back into the hangar, do my thing, whatever, right? Just the amount of time you save with the way this is formatted and set up now is huge. But also, it's a safety thing, because you don't have a paper manual out there on the ramp. And we've all seen this if we've ever been around very long.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mechanics version of a 52 card pickup, right? So yeah. There's some real advantages to it, but it all this helps the operators and the maintainers be safer at what they do at the end of the day.
Well, you're working smarter, right? Smarter, not necessarily harder. You're working smarter.
That's the goal. We're trying to help them do the same thing.
So, and just kind of, I want to elaborate a little more, because it sounds great. Like you said, if you're out there with a tablet and you're looking at, okay, I'm going to need this, and this, does it give you, and maybe Skip, you can kind of answer this, does it give you the probability of this part being associated with this part? Does it tell you to check on that as well too? Or is it kind of potentially look at replacing the domino effect of a part failure, of something that's requiring attention?
So while you may not see a probability of the failure of the part there, we do have our troubleshooting manual. And within that troubleshooting manual, you can follow down some steps, and it'll ask you, is there power at the circuit breaker? Yes or no? And if, depending on your answer, sort of that choose your own adventure book when we were kids, but it'll get you to the end and tell you, this is the part you need. And from there, it'll link you over to our illustrated parts breakdown, IPB. Yeah. And from there, that ties in now directly to our marketplace, mybell.com. And if you click on a part there, it'll add the part to a shopping list for you. You can upload that right into the MyBell marketplace, and you've got a part on the way.
It's become that simple.
It looks simple. It's not simple, but that's our goal.
To the operators out there, yeah, like you said, it's if you can simplify their world, and kind of getting them up fast. Listen, we all know that helicopters don't make any money on the ground, right? So the faster you're going to get their helicopters up in the world and up and flying and doing what they need to do, then you've released a lot of pressure off what they're required to kind of get up and running.
Yeah. To Skip's point, I watched these technicians out on the flight line troubleshoot a problem, build their parts list, put it in the cart, walk into their spares department. Now, it wasn't tied to MyBell. I mean, it is, but they were just using their internal spare system. Mm-hmm. Walk in to the spares counter, grab the parts they need, and walk back out to the aircraft instead of the back and forth. And actually, at one point in time, there was a parts runner that would bring the parts out to them too. They said he wasn't working that day. So at the end of the day, the technology's there, and Skip's team is doing a great job of getting it integrated. And there's a lot to do, and it's going to be cool when it's done. And some of our newer stuff that's coming out is going to be really fun to play with. So it'll be a good time. So
How
we won't
is it
talk
now?
much about that.
That's a whole nother podcast away.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Skip, how is it when you have, like you said, multifacets throughout the entire globe of support? Is translation of said instructions becoming an issue, or is it something you kind of deal with as long as it's just translated properly?
So generally English is pretty widely used in the aviation community around the world. So we do push our pubs out in English only right now. But with that S1000D, and we use what we call simplified technical English to write those. So all the words in there, and instead of saying things, for example, perform step 3, it will say do step 3. And what that is going to allow us later on in the future is if we want to translate to any language, these translation models will be able to take that, what we've built already, and be able to translate that into Chinese or Hindi or Arabic or whatever we need it to go out in. So we've got it ready to be translated. We just don't have a lot of requirement for that right now.
Yeah. It's maybe, again, another podcast down the road.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
Well, listen,
We're
the
just not
fact
there.
that the fact that, like, and I say this humbly and respectfully, like I said, you took on this task knowing that you have an Everest of a mountain to kind of generate climbing. If you're at the base camp of it right now, you're doing something right. And if you don't think you're doing something right, look where you were 12 months ago. Right?
Yeah.
That's always kind of the reflection that you always want. And in IT, man, you're chasing it the day that it's released, right? So it's when you're working hand in hand with your IT department to kind of make sure your network is robust, your 17,000 subscribers are supported, and you're able to get that information out within a minute's time of someone downloading on the tablet. You're doing a good job. You're doing a great job, actually. So kudos to you for that, and you and your team for that, for kind of really, blazing trails on it. Blazing trails.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. There's an important thing we need to note here, though. The offline viewer. Our system isn't perfect like every computer system out there. Make sure your offline viewer is up to date, because I'm going to tell you as a CSC, if you call me and say, hey, man, I can't get to the pubs, I'm going to say, hey, how's your offline viewer? And you're going to go,
what's that?
What is, yeah, what?
Yeah.
Now, it will help, but it's a tool there that you need to make sure you keep up to date, because it gives you that information. And even if the system goes down, you've got it. You've got what you need to work. So,
and trust me, if you're not up to date and you get Greg on an off day and when he's not happy about it, he'll let you know. He'll let you know.
I don't know, man.
Oh, Skip knows. Skip knows. Yeah, he's seen me on my off.
Skip knows. Look, you're like, oh yes, sir, I do know.
Yeah, sir. I'm glad you said something about that offline viewer, Greg. So these Azure changes that we have just made to our database have drastically improved those download speeds too. So if you're not up to date and Greg tells you better get up to date, it's not going to take you 3 years to do it. You're going to be able to get those downloaded to your computer pretty quickly. So it's not as daunting as it once was.
And with now, especially if you guys are coming with an iOS app on it, that'll be interesting to see how that kind of translates over to the phone, because it's entirely different technology, albeit so it's compact, but it's an entirely different technology. So kudos to you for kind of really looking onto that department, because I don't listen as much as, create an app for it. It's not that easy, man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's taken us a few years, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That was when I talk to customers, one thing I constantly hear is, when is it going to work on my phone? When can you make it work on my phone? Well, we're there. Almost. But we're getting there. So yeah.
The point is, Skip's teams listened to the customers, and that's what they wanted. They wanted an iOS, format. So it's fantastic. It's good. It's good stuff.
Love it. Like I said, I'm a tech geek and stuff like that. And it's like, I love the kind of stuff that when you can kind of have something instantly on your phone, because now, again, you can be on top of the cowling and kind of checking out without having to look down a screen that could be shared with another tech or three, or you're arguing with the old guy who doesn't want to put it on. I'm not putting that on my phone.
That's right.
This is for my birds only game.
Yeah.
Or Angry Birds.
Whatever you call it.
Yeah.
He's got to flip that phone open first. He's got to pry it open.
Hey, Greg, those are burner phones. We don't talk about those.
Oh yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's get into, I'm seeing a note here about the MS3G for scheduled some maintenance. If you want to talk about that, please.
Yeah, I'll talk about that real quickly, Val. MSG3, Maintenance Steering Group 3, was a process that was started back in the 60s to develop scheduled maintenance for the 747. which was super complicated and big at the time. So they needed an efficient way to develop a maintenance plan for that. So over the years and the decades since, it's been adapted for all aircraft, including rotorcraft. So we use that now. Actually, for Part 29, it is required by the FAA and Transport Canada. So we have to do MSG3 analysis. And that analysis, I've got a team of subject matter experts in Mirabel, Canada, outside of Montreal. They analyze the entire system, every system on the entire aircraft. And based on that analysis, types of materials, how often a panel's opened, is it exposed to the environment, these kind of things. We develop or we recommend a inspection interval, 100 hours, 200 hours, 50 hours, whatever it is. We take that, and I think this, for me, this is the part that really lends credence to MSG3 is we take that analysis and we go to what we call a board meeting. And in that board meeting, we have the flight authorities, usually Transport Canada, the FAA, but we also have operators of the aircraft. And I think that's what really brings in, it really adds to this. And they say
ground zero data. Zero data.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when we say it's 100 hours, often they said, we don't need to inspect it every 100 hours. We can do it 200 because, and they've got these findings. Or they'll say 100 hours is not enough. We need to open that panel up and look at it daily, pre-flight, 50 hours, whatever it is. But I think that, for me, that's the most important part of the MSG3. But we take all that and then we incorporate that into, right now, we're just using it for 429 and 505, but all of our future models that come out eventually will also use the same system.
Is there going to be any backdating to some of the previous models?
So we're considering it, and it won't be a full analysis, but we'll use MSG3 methodology.
As a benchmark? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll use that we'll look back at those older models, but right now it's mostly for our current and future models.
Gotcha. You got to start somewhere, and if you can backdate a little bit, I understand that. Okay, go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just saying it's pretty cool. It's good stuff. So
that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
It's in a good spot when Greg says it's pretty cool.
Well, if you spent your life opening up panels on aircraft because the 100 hours says to open it up, and you're looking at the same nothing every 100 hours, it's like, come on, and that's so that this is, be clear, it makes a maintenance a lot more productive, but it also gives you the opportunity to look at different areas in more detail because you're not trying to burn through everything, right? Yeah. So, and maybe I didn't simplify or state that correctly, but like if you're going into a certain area to do an inspection for MSG3, you have all this opportunity maintenance is what they call it, where you're looking at everything else while you're going in there.
Yep.
And in the past, you may have done that, but you didn't realize you were doing it with the old maintenance thing. Now you're doing it, and you document it, you're moving on, right?
Yeah, you're kind of eliminating the redundancy of it all because it now creates you to kind of look for something. Yeah, okay, I see it. I simplified for you, Greg. I got your back, buddy. I got you.
All right, thanks.
There is a mechanism built into MSG3, and it's called zonal analysis, and it's exactly what you're talking about, Greg. You open that panel up, and we're not going to check this one at 200 and then come back again and check another part of that at 400. We're going to do it all right there while we're in it. And so there's a built-in mechanism in the analysis that includes that and accounts for that.
Awesome. Sounds some pretty good upcoming tech here. Maybe we can kind of get into that. It's without giving, releasing too many birds out of the house right now, but anything coming up for the new models here for 2025 and on. If you can kind of share just a smidge, without getting any type of legal.
So I've got a small office, so things like this get me excited, right?
Yeah,
now, I know a lot of people don't get excited, but I find this one exciting coming up, and I think this is going to be a force multiplier for our operators out there. So our newer models, we've got a system called, and I could say this one, we've got a system called Mission Link, which will read the faults on the aircraft. And if you've got, for example, a SATCOM kit installed, while you're in flight, it will transmit that fault down there to a base station where a maintainer can see the fault, and that fault will offer you a direct path to the electronic manual. And in that electronic manual, again, like we go back and we talked about earlier, you've got your troubleshooting steps all built in, And from those troubleshooting directly to your IPB, your removal and replacement procedures, and then a link over to Marketplace. So we've talked to, I was in Norway back September, October timeframe, and we were talking to some people about some things during a conference. And they were saying, that was their word, this is a force multiplier, where I used to need, and I left something out, Val. One of the most important things there in that is there's going to be a 3D viewer in these. So when you click on that part, it's going to rotate the helicopter around a wire mesh frame of the helicopter, and it's going to tell you exactly where it is. And that's the part that these guys were saying is going to be a force multiplier, where they would need 2 or 3 people to go out there and find the component on a helicopter. They got that one guy. He can troubleshoot it, he can get to it, he can remove it, he can order it, he can install it, and that helicopter's back in the air. He's got the part before the helicopter lands in a lot of cases. So for me, it's pretty exciting. This is something new.
I'm watching your face, dude. You're jacked on this right now. You're totally excited.
I love it. Not a lot happens in here, man.
I love it.
I'm pretty happy about this one.
I love it. That's not true, Skip. A lot happens in there. Well, and when you get into that type of technology, man, that's like you say, now you've reduced downtime by X amount percentage, probably into the double digits by knowing exactly what you're looking for. It's going to order it for you right there, and it's going to tell you how to get into it and take it out of it. Like that's mind blowing.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah.
A force multiplier is that's too generic of a compliment. This is right. Yeah. This is an effing game changer right here.
Yeah, that's another way to put it too. I agree with you. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is used out there in the fleet. You know, I want to talk to those guys after we get it out there and see. You know, I can sit here and dream it up and think it's going to do all of these wonderful things. Until it's out there, I want to know how they're using it. I think it's going to be fantastic once we push that out.
And then the evolution of version 1, 2, 3, X amount to the points, right? It's going to be effing game changer. I think that's the technical
game changer. Yeah,
effing game changer.
Yeah. No, it definitely is going to be a game changer. You know, and the maintainer, when you're talking about fleets, like say your offshore folks or your law enforcement folks that need to turn around quick and get back out doing their mission, right? That's where this makes a huge difference. Firefighters, you know, I mean, everybody wants to keep their aircraft up. Don't get me wrong. Everybody can benefit from it. But when you focus on those core groups and support them, the trickle down effect, everybody else is a bonus, right? So it is huge, and I've seen it, and it's cool, and it's going to be fun to use. It's going to be fun to work with the customers with this stuff. So
can you mention kind of a release date or when to expect it again?
This one is probably also around the same time as that iOS app. I would say probably second or third quarter when we should have something out available to our operators. Yeah.
Announcements to come.
Announcements to come.
Yeah, announcements to follow. Perfect. And when going into, I guess that same thing will kind of what I kind of mentioned here earlier. Going to start off launching from the current helicopters now, kind of going forward. But are you thinking about intricately kind of involving some of the legacy platforms as well?
Absolutely. Okay. We're already looking at that, Val. We're already looking at ways we can go back without having to blow up our manpower requirements to 1,000 people, how we can do that. And we're finding ways to do that a little bit here, a little bit there, and where it all come together in the end. So yeah, once we started working on this for new models, I said, absolutely, I got to have that for the old ones too, because it's going to change things for the way we maintain these or for the way our operators maintain those helicopters, you know? So yeah.
Right. This is all fantastic. And I'm just trying to kind of go back and thinking about, again, being in those remote locations and having the ability to instantly connect now to the tech pubs. That's got to be one of the greatest challenges kind of you're looking at overcoming here right away. I'd imagine so, just because of, again, places like Papua New Guinea or Northern Canada or, you know, somewhere in the desert of Saudi or whatever. It's going to be, this is, again, a game changer for you. So
yeah,
kudos to you and your team. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's right there on your phone. You know, you're out to the aircraft, you got something you see, you're not sure about, you pull it up on your phone, you read it, you're good to go. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Going back onto the conversation there, as far as, you know, I know you lit up to talk about the mission link there. Anything else we can expect out of that on top of that? Or can you give us a snippet of anything else? Or is mission link, that's a pretty big one?
I think that's the big one, Val. That's the one that we've been focused on, is mission link and the tie over to the technical publications and MyBell, like I said, to be able to order those parts quickly. But yeah, so that's the big one. We've got some other small things here and there in work, but the big one is Mission Link, an iOS app that'll be coming out sometime too. And I don't want to diminish the iOS app with my tone of voice there. It's important, and we've worked hard on that. So those
you got to pump those fists, man. You got to get.
Man, I hear you. So all right, let me go back. The Mission Link and the iOS app.
Yes,
so
there you go.
Third quarter this year, we'll have those out, and yeah, those are big deals for our customers. So I think it's really gonna change the way we do maintenance.
Good for you for being that kind of, like I said, you guys have always been, and as far as we've been doing these tech talks here, and anybody that I've ever talked to, including I had a guest on here, Brad Fandrich, who has a 429. You're very customer oriented to the point where you're hyper focused on what they're needing right away. So it's a kudos and a credit to your organization, guys. You guys are doing something right if they kind of know you by a first name basis, and you're able to kind of get the contact over to the operators, because they're dependent upon you. So, on their behalf, I say thank you. So keep up the good work on that department.
Well, we're dependent on them too. It's a two-way street. But and by the way, Mission Link will be its own podcast, because that in itself is pretty darn cool.
Okay, we'll schedule it in. Should I put a hardline date to it there, Skip?
Not yet. No, let's don't do that. No.
Well, I look forward to that.
Q4.
I look forward to that. Now, I'm sure that'll be a highlighted tech talk of it, because that's big news. That's a big launch. You know what I mean? Like, I saw your TV shake behind you, and you kind of got a little excited talking about it there. I felt the eruption kind of get up with it. Good for you. So it's
maybe the TV will start working now. It's broken, so maybe they'll shake it loose.
Throw some of your e-tech pubs on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. This has been an informative side, and we're going to start wrapping it up here. But any parting words to kind of have towards the operators that are looking to kind of jump in on this?
So I just want to reiterate how much we rely on our operators for their feedback. Those guys look at the pubs. They look at the pubs more than I look at the pubs. They're in them. They're digging around. They see everything. So
correct. Yep.
Their feedback to us is so important. So don't feel shy, if you are, to call us or send us an email and let us know what you find. Even if it's a suggestion, we're open to your suggestions, and we take those and we look at those every year, and we make changes and we plan changes just strictly based on that customer feedback. So it's very important for us.
Good words. Greg, anything to add there, young buck?
Nope. Just thanks, Skip, for everything. It's really good. Thank you.
Yeah. Good job, Skip. Like I said, kind of for the brief little conversation we've had here today, you've shown me that you're on the upswing when it comes to technological support of your customer base. So congratulations to you and your entire team throughout the globe when they listen to this. So good job, guys. You're keeping a lot of operators happy. Any final thoughts? Any final words? I'll leave it up to you, Skip, if you want.
Like I said, important that we get the operator feedback. Very important to us, and I've got a really good team working on these tech pubs. So I rely on these guys for them to push those manuals out to everybody. And as far as I'm concerned, they're doing a great job. I know we have some issues here and there. Mm-hmm. They're humans, but we put a lot of effort into that. And with the team around the world, it's a 24-hour effort. So we're never stopping with these tech pubs. We're always working on them.
Yeah. You know what? And Greg and I were just talking offline here a little bit there, and the comment was you have a job that is in constant demand when it comes to kind of getting the information out. So I don't want to say it's a thankless job, but it's you got to, you're at the forefront of a lot of people's kind of approach on, especially in dealing with EPUBs there. So congratulations to you and your team.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it should be noted that our management really supports the efforts that have been put into this, and that's what it takes. It takes that upper level support to make things happen, right? So,
love to hear it. Love to hear the kudos.
Me too.
Well, it's like, I don't know how you do it, Skip, but my hat's off to you, brother. Thank you.
As always, I thoroughly enjoy sitting down with you. And Greg, like I said, you're an old hat at this, but Skip, welcome to the Vertical MRO side of the world and the Bell Tech Talk side of the world. So I appreciate you kind of spending some time with us and kind of getting us updated on a lot of tech stuff that you got going on right now. And I tip my hat to you, brother. It's because I know it's not an easy task. So I say congratulations and thank you as well for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it. Thank you very much.
And my last question I end every podcast with, and if you've listened to this, Greg, I know you want to get you to answer this as well, because I think you might have, but you kind of might have dashed around him a couple of times. Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
No.
No.
Yes, both of you.
What
Yes.
Is that even a question? Why do you even ask people
Bro,
that?
you don't even know. It's like you have a lot. Well, of course it belongs on pizza because it's such a sweet. Get the hell out of here. The only thing that belongs is on top of my Mai Tai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pineapple on pizza.
Meat lovers.
No.
Meat lovers. That's it. Meat
Yeah.
lovers.
Yeah.
I don't need anything else. So,
But anyway, I digress. Again, Skip, thank you very much for coming on to the Vertical MRO side of the Bell Tech Talk of it. Greg, as always, a good time to see you. I guess I'll see you both at Verticon.
yes, sir.
Yep.
Perfect.
We'll be there.
I'll save the first brew for you. So there we go.
Looking forward to it, Val. It'll be a good time. So,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It'll be fun. Thanks again for listening to Bell Tech Talk on the Vertical MRO podcast. If you like what you heard, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you want to kind of leave a little parting, was the 1-800-FLY-BELL?
1-800-FLY-BELL,
Yep.
option number 6, or publications@bellflight.com.
There you go. That's how you get in touch with these beautiful people to kind of get you up and running and keep you up and running. And to that, I say adieu. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Bell Tech Talk segment of Vertical MRO podcast. We want to hear from you. Have a technical topic for the team or a favorite technical tip? Let us know. Our email is techtalk@bellflight.com. That's TECHTALK@bellflight.com. If you're having a technical issue with the aircraft, as always, our team is here 24/7 at product support@bellflight.com. If you like what you heard, subscribe and come back for more.